Question all the narratives. Question everything we do.
Humans are inherently community driven.
How would you design your life?
We don't live in this type of world anymore.
Why do certain people do what they do? Why do you do what you do?
What? What do you mean the nuclear family is not normal or not traditional?
Hey there, this is Greg Denning. We want to reach as many people as possible and help as many families as possible with these conversations. And we want to keep this podcast ad-free forever. You can help us do that by subscribing on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, your favorite platform, and on YouTube. And leave a quick review and share your favorite episodes with friends and family. It makes a big difference. Thank you for being a part of this very important movement. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Extraordinary Family Life Podcast. We're your hosts, Greg and Rachel Denning. Today's episode is going to be a lot bit unconventional. And I hope you will not just dismiss it because it seems unrealistic, but chew on it and see if there are any aspects of it that you could incorporate to your life and how you could question all the narratives, question everything we do. That's kind of, I mean, our journey went through stages, but at multiple times we stopped and questioned conventional thinking. And I remember listening to Wayne Dyer one time, and he just said, question everything. Why do you sleep when you sleep? Why do you sleep how long you sleep? Why do you eat 3 meals? Like, where did that come from? Why even have meals? Why 3? Like, why at certain times? Like, what is going on? Where did that come from? It hasn't always been that way. Start questioning it and like zoom way out and look at different cultures and peoples and places. Like, wait, why do certain people do what they do? Why do you do what you do? Start questioning it all. And there's so much value there in the questioning. And often you question it, you experiment with it, you see other things, and you come back to the thing you do. And you're like, yeah, I like this one. I'm going to keep it. But then in questioning it, it exposes some things. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah, why do we do that? Where did that come from? And just because it's common, it's widely being done that way, doesn't mean we have to participate. And it doesn't mean we have to keep doing it.
Or doesn't mean that it's quote unquote normal or that it's always been done that way. And so ironically, even with today's topic, even though we did go through that whole process, I feel like this wasn't one of the things we actually questioned because interestingly enough, it has been, it's people have come to believe that it is
The essence.
normal. It is the essence of what it means to have a family, right? And to be a family. And so you think, well, yeah, of course, that's real, that's true. And yet, we've questioned it, we've realized, oh, wait, no, actually, it's still skewed. It's not true. It's not fully accurate. And so essentially what we're talking about today is this concept, this unconventional concept, this new concept that the traditional nuclear family, quote unquote, traditional nuclear family is not normal and it's not traditional. And of course, coming from us, people are probably like, what? What do you mean the nuclear family is not normal or not traditional? And that's what we want to talk through today because that is one of the things we've now recently been questioning. And we're not, just spoiler alert here, we're not going to be telling you, oh, we should be practicing polygamy or we should be, non-monogamous or we should have open relationships. That's not where we're going. So, don't worry about that. We're not embracing that. We don't believe that. But what we are going to expand on and dive into is the reality that the nuclear family is a new idea. The nuclear family has really only been around or common since, let's say, like the 1940s. And that before that, families lived intergenerationally and they lived more connected and they did not spend their days like a traditional nuclear family where, well, even if you're talking about the trad family with the trad wife that stays home, a stay-at-home mom, they didn't do that. Dad did not go off to work. Children did not go off to school. Everyone stayed at home and worked from home together. Dad,
It was a
mom,
family,
grandma, grandpa, siblings,
uncles, like
aunts
it
and
was a
uncles.
community, yeah.
It was a community
Or tribe.
environment,
Yeah.
a tribe environment. And so this idea of
Probably
the
more tribe for the
nuclear,
history of the world is probably more
yeah,
tribal.
right. So this idea of the nuclear family where there's mom, dad, and kids living on their own, doing everything on their own. Dad goes off to work. Mom stays at home with the kids by
When they're
herself.
little, and then the kids go off, and
And
now
then the kids go
mom's
off and
living in
mom's,
isolation. Like,
yeah.
what is that?
All of this is new and we're going to argue unhealthy.
Yeah, and we talk about traditional family, and so we think
Right.
this must mean it's really old. We're doing it the old way, and like we have this norm where families are being pulled apart. People aren't getting married. They're not having kids. So the average age of people who are getting married is in their mid to late 30s, early 40s in some countries, and then upper 40% of women between 18 and 45 are not married and won't be having, many of them, a
Unlikely to have
majority of
children.
them are unlikely to have children
Yeah.
at all. When
So
you take in that number,
even
that is staggering.
right. And so in some ways when you talk about those type of statistics, you think, well, yeah, the traditional family is way better than that. And I would say, yeah, that's true because despite this push for being single and living your truth and pursuing your passion and career and all of this, it's not sustainable for society as a whole because humans are inherently social.
Yep.
They are inherently community driven. Most normal people want they want long term relationships in their life. They want a long term romantic relationship. Like everyone is driven towards that. It's not weird. That's normal.
So we
So,
say everyone, that's excluding the little 3% of people that,
yeah,
yeah,
there are the
yeah,
psychopaths and the sociopaths and
sociopaths.
stuff
And,
out
yeah.
there that aren't looking for that. But most normal people want some sort of long term relationship. They want long term friendships. They want long term romantic relationships.
Yep.
But this push to be single, to not have children because of whatever the reasons are, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of pain, is actually detrimental to individuals and to society as a whole because there will be over the span of a lifetime of a human lots of loneliness, lots of depression, lots of anxiety because there's not a network there of other humans
Yeah.
to help you through
The phases of life.
phases of life.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of unnecessary suffering
Right.
because
Exactly.
of that. Yeah.
So yeah, the
And even
traditional family.
there's a lot who want the family, but they're delaying, or because of societal stuff, they're not finding spouses, they're not dating, they're not being dated, they're on their phones, they're communicating that way. It's like in-person stuff is just dropping drastically, and people are suffering because
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Seriously. In fact, I just read an article like yesterday about this where not only is it dropping for single people and the amount of real life interaction they have, of course, with friends, but it's also dropping sex between non-married
Mhm.
couples and sex between married couples because the tech is interfering. Like people are spending more time on their devices,
Yep.
being entertained, being educated, being like whatever. Like they're just constantly there. They're just constantly taking up time. And that, of course, like, there's an exchange rate. Like that time has to come from something, somewhere. And so all of that is being reduced because of that. So all of that's, of course, going on in society. And so within that framework, you think, well, yeah, the nuclear family, like that's where it's at. That is way better than all of this. And I would argue, yeah, that's true. But we also want to talk today about how an even higher ideal than that is returning to the true traditional family, which is the intergenerational family. It's the community family. It's the tribal family.
And that includes mom, dad, and kids all working together for the family. So like if you think back, even hunters gatherers, even in those cases, so the men would go out and do the hunting. They would go away for the day or multiple days and then come back.
But that may also, again, we don't know all the details for sure, but it may have been a once a week thing or maybe they go for a week and come back, or you know what I'm saying, like it's not a daily everything
Right.
9 to 5.
Exactly. I'm gone. And so you're apart, and definitely, the kids were there, and education was happening there. And even when they started some schools or schoolhouses, the kids would go into the little schoolhouse. This was in US culture especially. But the point is, we want to invite you to think about unconventional ways of doing life, even ancestral ways. And again, I started this out, like, don't just throw it out. It's like, it's not realistic. It's not possible. I can't do that. I'm just toss it. Just sit with it. And really, like, okay, what would I do? If you could wave the magic wand and kind of set aside all the little constructs that you've been given and handed, all the things you know to be real or true, like, set that all aside, how would you design your life?
What would jobs, school,
all of it. It's like, what would your family lifestyle look like? And when you start questioning some of those things and you start looking for, I guess one of my favorite questions was like, well, how could this be possible? So we started traveling as a family in 2007, and it wasn't near as popular as it is now. And there weren't, blogs were they even starting? Just maybe barely just starting. And there weren't social media accounts with millions of followers of families traveling the world. So we're like, is this possible? Can it be done? We would occasionally meet a family that had been doing it, since the 70s or 80s. They've been on their little old station wagon wandering the earth. And so we want to do this. And so we just started asking, well, what would have to be true? And so that's a question I want to encourage you to start taking into your life for everything. Like, what would have to be true for this scenario to be possible, for this lifestyle change to be possible? And we want to encourage this. Maybe this isn't for everybody, but I really feel like these unconventional approaches could be helpful for every family. Just question the way you're doing it. Question the way you're sending your kids to school or what kind of schooling they're doing. Question work stuff. This whole idea of, generally it's the husband going to work and being gone and coming back.
Very much nowadays.
Now it's the wife too. Yep.
Yeah, of course.
And like you said, Rach, it's not healthy. Like, I want to argue for that. That's not a healthy way to do life. Now, we've adapted. It's become normal. We see almost all of our friends and neighbors doing it, and maybe our parents did it too. We're into a generation now where it's like we've been seeing this for a long time. Even the old TV shows now, they were doing it. It's like, well, yeah, but that's only in these 4 turnings, right? It's in the last 4 generations. Go pre-World War II or World War I, and then go to other civilizations, societies, roll back. And just because I know a lot of people are like, well, why would I ever go back in time? Why would I study old books and old societies? We've clearly progressed beyond that. Mm-hmm. We've heard people say, what value can you get from going back in time? Like, they had a lot of stuff figured out. And humans go through these patterns and cycles where things actually get way worse. And in some ways we get stupider. So what can that look like for you? And as we started doing this, we wanted to do life together.
I think that it obviously there's going to be a lot of people, even with you just saying that, thinking this is just so unrealistic. We don't live in this type of world anymore. If you want to make money, you have to go to a job, and the job's 9 to 5, and that's the options. Like, what are we supposed to do about that? We can't just live on insects. And we met this guy one time who was like on a foraging diet, and he only ate whatever he gathered, which included an iguana he found on the side of the road. He asked if he could put it in our freezer.
Roadkill.
Roadkill. This is when we lived in Costa Rica. So he put his roadkill iguana in our freezer. He was on a foraging diet. Yeah, we're not suggesting that you do that you have to live on some foraging diet or live out in the woods or camp or, like, live this extreme lifestyle so you can be together.
Unless you want to. Like, some people want to try that stuff.
It can be a great experience. And we get that it sounds very unrealistic. But what we are trying to say, because we have actually lived it, that something that starts out to seem impossible or completely unrealistic, that if you begin to ask yourself the right kind of questions and you begin to search for the answers to those impossible questions, it's amazing how over time you actually find the answers, and that impossibility becomes your reality.
Yeah.
We are living an impossible life, but only because we pursued the impossible.
So all the things we thought were impossible and were attempted and multiple times just dismissed, that's our reality. It's our world. And it's so cool to keep meeting families and individuals who refuse to just acquiesce to
Mhm.
social expectations and constructs and start saying, I'm going to do life differently. Now, because we've traveled so much and we're meeting people all the time, it's at least a couple times a week I'm meeting somebody who's very unconventionally just doing life on their terms. And it's how they earn their income, it's where they live, how they live. So like even van life, it's become a hashtag now. It's a big thing and growing where people living in their vans that they've remodeled. RV life is massive across where we are in Europe. It's very, very big. People live in their campers. But all across the US too, it's growing. And families, like full families, like, we're just going to jump in an RV and we're going to live on the road. And they're figuring it out. They're doing it. And then many are
They're
moving out into
homesteading.
the country. Yeah, they're homesteading, they're growing their food, they're getting back into hunting and raising animals or farming. There's all kinds of cool things. I love, love, love that. And some of you want to live in the city, you want to have a high-rise apartment and all that stuff. Great, fantastic. We're just inviting you to explore. Now, in my mind here, I can hear some of you are like, you can't even fathom the concept of homeschooling your kids. Just like, no way, go crazy, or I don't have the qualifications. I don't know how.
Well, some people, because they've told us this, they can't fathom the idea of spending all day together with their spouse. They're like,
Yeah.
we would drive each other crazy.
Yeah.
We would be at each other's throats. And part of our argument is that point. There are so many families that literally can hardly spend any time together because they hate each other, they're fighting, they're arguing. Part of the reason that's true is because you spend so little time together.
Exactly.
You actually live completely separate lives and you're very different people. And then you wonder why, when you come together, you can't get along. Well, if you live together,
You figure
you
it
would
out.
learn how to figure it out.
Exactly.
Like, it's not because we're special and we have like perfect people in our family that all of us get along. We have very strong personalities, very different personalities. But by spending so much time together, that's how we figured out how to get along and how to love each other and how to enjoy each other's presence and company.
And so as we started doing that, it's like, wait a minute, what if I could work from home? What if we could have, this is one of the ideas we was like, what if we could have our meals together, all of them together?
Mm-hmm.
What if breakfast, lunch, and dinner together? And there were times where I had jobs, but I would come home for those meals. So I'm like, okay, we're getting there. And then eventually got to where I was working from home and had a home office, or we were traveling, wandering around the earth, and I would just bring a laptop and work wherever we were. And it's like we got to where we were spending the majority of our time together and a minority of our time apart. Where, like you're saying, the vast majority of people right now, I think, spend most of their time apart and very little time together.
Well, I've heard statistics even that for many families, working families, especially where both parents work, they spend on average like 30 minutes with their children.
Yeah, I've read that too. 30 to
That to
60
me
minutes in the
is
evening.
absurd.
Yeah, it's so pathetic.
So
It's
sad.
sad. It's so sad, but honestly, it's pathetic. Like, what are we doing? Where are you spending your time? And it's like, well, I'm working. Why? To pay the bills? Like, this is crazy. And because other people are doing it, then you can do it too. And I want to throw that out there because if some of you are listening, like, no, there's no way I can do that. Yes, you can. If others have done it, you can do it. If we can figure it out, then you can figure it out. We're not special. But it's just like, okay, wait a minute. It's you pausing and saying, what has to change? What has to be different? What skill, what knowledge, how can I make this happen? It's totally possible. And it's so cool. It's now thousands of people who are living so differently. They're starting businesses or doing online work or remote work
Well,
or
there's even plenty of families. I mean, I see them on Instagram, but that are living kind of a homestead community lifestyle. They've got family businesses doing traditional things. They're doing woodworking. They're building stuff, carpentry. I mean, it's regular things, but they're doing it together as a family.
yep.
They're teaching and passing on the skills. They're building the generational wealth.
Hmm.
They're investing in each other. I just recently put a reel out on Instagram that's going viral talking about, this psyop of having your kids move out at 18. That it's actually again, a new idea. I also have lots of people commenting on there like, what are you talking about? This isn't a thing. I'm like, it is in America. Trust
Yeah.
me. It's a very Western idea. So it's not happening in all cultures, but like, when your kids are 18, they got to move out and be on their own and work. Well, all of that's a psyop. It's essentially something we've been taught and told because it benefits businesses, it benefits banks, it benefits other people
Well,
when our
the
kids move out and
disintegration
get
of
their
families.
own. Yeah, besides that, it disintegrates the family connections, but it also prevents the generational growth, the growth of generational wealth because they move out, they get their own rent or mortgage, they have to buy their own furniture, their own car, their own utilities. Like it's
And they're
multiplying.
broke.
Yeah.
Like
Plus they're
they're
broke when they're
broke.
doing it. Instead of keeping that all in the family, the kids earn money, they pay into the family, they contribute to the family, they are helping grow the business, expand the property, invest in the real estate, like all of those types of things that actually build wealth. We're doing it together as a family so that it can be passed on rather than like, okay, well, now you're 18, which
Out you
suddenly
go.
makes you adult. It does not. Out you go figure it out on your own, and we're going to stay here and keep doing our own little thing.
Right.
That's not normal if you look at the long-term history of humanity, and nor is it, I think, the most beneficial mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially,
Socially.
social, the individuals and the family as
Yeah.
a whole.
Now, obviously, all of that has to hinge on effective parenting
Yeah.
because obviously, a ton of people are like, "Whoa, well, no, my
You're going to
kids
have a
are just."
47-year-old
Yeah, they're just
living in the
mooching
basement.
off you. It's like, no, no, no. If your
That's
kids are at
not
home mooching off you, that's not what we're talking
right.
about. Nor are we talking about, oh, you guys are just trying to live off your kids. They work and pay you money. You're trying to. It's like, no,
That's my retirement
that's
plan.
not even. Yeah, exactly. I'll have my kids live with me forever, and they pay rent, and so then I can retire. It's like, no, that's pathetic. And if you're really, really, truly ineffective as a parent, then anything you do will backfire. It just won't work. And obviously, I was out on my own at 16.
I moved out
And
at 18.
yeah, and so we went out and we did the broke thing and the struggle and learned some good lessons from it. But were we better off and ahead than we would have been had we had really effective parenting and real support and education and coaching and mentoring from our parents? No way, not even close. We were years behind. We learned some important stuff, but those lessons can be learned in better ways. You don't have to suffer and be broke when you could be mentored and coached and taught
Mhm.
how to not you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. It's so important. So basically, this idea is we're trying to present today. We want to invite you to flip the ratio where you spend more time together as a family and you get along better. You figure out how to fix your relationships and you work on things together.
Yeah.
Big projects, like
Project.
beautiful, wonderful things, whether it's, maybe you open a country store together and the whole family runs the store, or you build things, or you build online businesses, or you run your homestead. Maybe you try to grow your own food. Maybe you get enough land and you try to produce enough to feed your family off your own land. I mean, that's awesome. What a cool idea. I love that idea. But I want you to question it. And like, you know, if you hate your work or you only do it because it pays the bills, start looking for different avenues. What could you do differently? And the one I've heard, the dismissal I've heard the most is, oh, that would take years. Well, yeah, but the years are going to pass anyways. Say, the next 5 years. It would take you 5 years to transition to something you absolutely love. Yeah, that would take 5 years. Well, yeah. Well, the next 5 years are going to pass. So 5 years from now, you can be just doing something you absolutely love, completely designing your
Spending more
lifestyle
time as
on your
family.
terms. Or in 5 years, you can you'll be doing the same thing you're doing now and hating it and wishing you'd done something different.
Plus, lost all of that time with your children
Mm,
because when you are working on something that's moving you closer to something you really want, you're more alive, you're more attractive as a human being, you're more motivated, you're more inspiring. Like it brings you to life, which helps with everything else. It helps with your strengthening your relationships. It helps with mentoring your kids because you're actually walking a path that they would want to follow in. And that's
exactly.
way more
Yeah, you're modeling for them
exactly.
of what's possible. And so, we have a really good friend who, as a couple, they run a big business and lots of employees, and they never thought they'd be able to take time away. And right now they're in the UK renting a little cottage, totally off grid, not checking in with the business at all. And they worked really hard to get to that point, and because they wanted to see, hey, what's possible? Can you have well over 100 employees and big business, all kinds of stuff, and step away from it? Is that possible? And they're doing it right now. And we have all kinds of other friends doing other cool things too. They're just wandering the earth, or they go out traveling and they're like, I think we'd rather live here. And so they move to that country or that place. And like you're writing your own ticket and you're designing your own life and doing it deliberately instead of thinking that you have to live a certain way. Like one of the things that came up all the time when we go somewhere is like, oh, why are you living here? Did your job transfer you? They're like, well, no, we want to be here. And it just seems like we just slap people upside the face. Like, what are you talking?
Well, a lot
Well,
of
you
people
live
couldn't
somewhere
even
because you want
comprehend
to?
that. They were like, "What do you
Yeah.
mean? You wanted to live here, so you moved here
Yeah.
just for that
'Cause you
reason?"
want it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. It seemed unheard of that. And the well, I don't know, a majority of people we talk to, the only reason they live where they live is because of some job, work. And if they moved, it was usually because of work.
Another one of the reels I just did, it was just an audio I found, but it said, "We need to move away from preparing kids for jobs." And that's because jobs are changing.
Or going away.
Yeah, or going away. And they also said that we need to disconnect identity from job,
Yes.
which I think is also true with like lifestyle. We need to disconnect lifestyle and location from job. All of that is changing. Like the future that's coming with AI, with location independence,
With
all of that is
robots.
changing. And so we no longer have to be tied to a job that determines our identity, determines our schedule, it determines where we live. Like all of that is literally becoming a thing of the past. Now,
That's
you and I are
crazy.
kind of on the forefront. Well, we are on the forefront of that, and more people are joining it. But I really think that that's where the future is going. And so I guess that's a part of our message now is like, hey, we're saying, hey, heads up, this is what's coming, this is what's possible. Start thinking about it now, if not for you, at least for your children,
Yep.
because this is the type of thinking they need to have if they're going to thrive in the economy of the future.
Yes. And so, well, even somebody was engaged in a little conversation online, and they're like, well, how many of your kids are going to college? That was kind of the argument. And that used to work for a very long time. That was true. Like you needed to go to university to get an education. And then it switched. You need to go to university to get a higher paying job.
To get job training.
Yeah, job training is what it was. That is now pretty obsolete. You can earn a absolutely phenomenal world-class education. And you don't need a university anymore. It's online, or people are making courses or classes, starting their own academies.
Or you could do it through college, but online.
Right, you don't even have to be there. And then job training everything's changing. From what I'm observing and reading and seeing, it looks like 40 to 50 to 60% of current jobs will be replaced by AI or robotics in the next 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 or 7. But if you think sending your kids to university to get a degree so they can get a job is still the path, you're
preparing your kids for a future that's already in the past.
Yep. Already. It's already gone. So, and again, I mean, even if your child right now was graduating and going to start university, by the time they graduate, everything will be changed. Yeah.
Already.
Even if it's just a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
Like send your kids for a bachelor's degree, which most of them are pretty worthless. And in 4 years from now, the AI computation will have, what did it say? It'll be just by the end of this year.
Times faster, like by the end of this year or something.
No. It was like by the end of the year, it would be 16 times smarter than it is now.
Oh, in
but
5 years, it's
in that, but it's just compounding like that. And so in a 5-year period, it's going to be crazy and so fast and so competent, so smart. So the advancements in technology is going to just blow that all away. And we think, my kid will get a job as, I don't know,
a dentist,
an attorney, or whatever it is. You think about it,
Talent.
accounting is like that's all going to be taken over.
But even dentistry, even the medical
Yep,
profession is all going to be
all of it.
taken over. Well, not completely, but it's going to be disrupted
Yeah,
by AI.
yep,
It will
massive,
not
massive
look the
disruption.
way it looks now.
Right. So, anyways, the whole point is, you guys, we just want you, and this is just kind of a fun short one. We just want you to like, wait, start questioning things. In fact, because of the advancements in technology, I would say we all have to. It's a must. If we try to stick our head in the sand and try to ignore it and keep going along doing our little thing, we're going to end up in some tough spots.
Well, and part of the other reason we're having this conversation is because I truly believe that that is the future. The future of family life is going to be more community based. It's going to be the tribal family. It's going to be us supporting each other, bringing in, of course, friends and people around us to be a part of that community. But it's not going to look like the way it has looked because of all this innovation that's happening. We're going to have to focus more on our own humanness.
Yep.
We're going to have to
Yes, yes,
focus
yes.
on those things that make us different from AI because AI is going to be able to replace so much. We have to, what's the word? We have to major, if you want to use the college term, in being human. And so we have to focus on compassion and empathy and connection and innovation, all of those things that make us unique as human beings. And that I think will almost automatically require more community connection, in person connection. And people are going to be like longing for that, like
Mm-hmm.
dying
They
to
already are.
have that practically because
It's missing.
there will be so much virtual reality. There will be so much AI technology. I already see it nowadays. People on Instagram, they're like, is this video AI or not? Like, I can't tell. People can't tell what's real and what's not. And so they'll be wanting to have that in person, face to face,
Because it's real.
because it's real and they
Yeah.
know it's real. That's what they're going to want. And our kids are going to want it. We're going to want it. We're going to want to be connected. We're going to be want to be together, supporting and helping each other. That's the future. It
Yeah.
really is.
And so, I don't know, but part of the catalyst for sharing this is that we absolutely love our lives. So good. And we have, we work from home together. The kids do home education, and obviously we travel all over the world together and have for years.
But in the meantime, we're working on all kinds of projects that
Yep.
are building our own generational wealth.
Yep. So we have
Thing.
animals together, and we build and make beautiful things together, remodel and invest together, and we study and learn together, and we travel together. We're heading over to go trekking in the Himalayas together. And we can do that. We can just take time and go do amazing things. And then we work together, and I don't know, it's just, life's so amazing. And from simple things like the meals together and eating and growing and eating healthy food together to making something really cool together, designing and building it with your hands and with tools and raising animals, like whatever it is you want to do it together. And so step back and say, if I could just have the life I want. And I think here's my vision of utopia. Although I think there's going to be a lot of dystopia coming, and things are going to unravel in society. But I do want to say this. AI does have the power to create some utopia aspects if it is used wisely. Because let's say we have robots that really, truly can do a lot of the work that could be done by anyone, and they're inexpensive, then of course I'm going to have a robot do all that stuff so that what? So I can sit around and entertain myself to death? No way. So that I can do work that only I can do. So that I can do things that only I can do. And I thought, here's the question I want you to chew on. If you didn't have to work, if you could just do life how you want to do life, just throw out all the things you think you have to do, like what would you do? And for me, I'd spend time reading. I'd spend time outside with animals. I'd grow some things. I'd grow some fruit and, raise some crops. I'd work on cool projects, beautifying the land and buildings, and spend a ton of time. It's what we do. Spend a ton of time with you, Rachel, and with the kids. We're together. I would travel. I love writing and teaching and sharing ideas. So I guess that's my point. Like, we're doing.
And the reality is, we asked ourselves those questions years ago when we were young and we had young kids. I mean, we started asking those
Yep.
questions and we came up with those were the
Yep.
answers we came up with. And now you're right.
It's
We
our
are
reality.
living that life
Yeah.
because we asked those questions and asked, how could we make that possible? That's the only reason it happened. It didn't happen by luck. We didn't just chance into it. We created it because we asked the questions. So that's why we're here today. We're like, hey, ask the questions. How could you create a lifestyle like this? How could you create a family life where you spend more time together than you do apart?
And
And that
doing
you're
things you
working,
all love to do.
yeah, you're working on the things that you love to do as a family.
Yeah. It's
That
so
that's
awesome.
the to me, that's the ideal of an extraordinary family life. It's like literally living together with peace, joy, and meaning.
Doing cool stuff. So spend some time thinking about it, talking about it with your spouse, with your kids, spend some time writing about it. And don't just dismiss it because it seems unrealistic. Start really writing. It's like, what to do? Well, yeah, I'd spend some time paddleboarding, spend some time mountain biking and rock climbing, definitely do some traveling, have some, animals and some land, work on some projects. Like start writing that out, which is what we did. And then after you do that exercise, then say, what would have to be true to make this happen? What changes would I have to make? What skills would I have to have? What knowledge would I have to acquire? What would have to be different? And then that's when possibilities and opportunities start popping up and you think, I can do this. We can make this happen. We can live life on our own terms. And it's so powerful and so beautiful. So enjoy that this week. Enjoy that exercise and what it does to your mind and conversations with your family. And you just start allowing your mind to explore and dream and question things. It's so powerful, but it opens up opportunities for a truly extraordinary family life. Love you guys. Reach upward.